But yeah, I mean, so we're talking about that, but to get into some more specifics as to recent discoveries that pertain to like the African American community. So I don't know, I hadn't heard about the Tulsa riots until like earlier this year or last year. And so to hear about, well, that even after the Civil War, even after Jim Crow, and even after, well, I mean, this happened actually. Tulsa happened around the Jim Crow
Yeah,
era,
it was
but that,
yeah, that was like
but that, but that African Americans never really got their freedom. They were never really were given any sort of reparations for the hundreds of years of slavery that they endured. But not only that, they were like expected. Oh, they were expected to not mix with the rest of society, meaning white society. It's like, no,
yeah,
we don't want you to mix with us,
but
right?
also
So
I mean,
so which is a horrible
mhm.
form of oppression. It's a horrible way to treat people. But granted, they were like, all right, cool, right, we don't like, I'm not saying how this is how they said they talked, but or what they said, but I think that given the history, there were many black towns that popped up, where it was majority black, and they had black owned businesses, and they had black owned, pretty much black communities. And they were like, all right, we're going to build ourselves. We're going to build our own towns, and we're going to just, be independent.
Yeah, and they got
Just,
ravaged.
and they got ravaged. They got, man, there were people, and they'll always come about with some tiny little thing like, oh, there was this one kid who talked to a white woman, who harassed a white woman, or who sexually assaulted a white woman,
Whistled or something and say, "Oh,
whistled or
he."
something like that.
No, but like
And
like
then they'll go in, they'll do like they'll just slaughter everyone. And then in Tulsa, they even went up using planes and bombed the place, and the police were just standing there.
oh
And
yeah,
apparently
no,
there were
but
like
I mean the funny thing
dozens
is,
of similar towns where the same thing happened, dozens across the country.
yeah, what is really fucked up about that is not just that it happened. Oh, I mean, the most fucked up thing is that it happened. But what's fucked up on top of that, like to add the salt on top of the fucking uh, casserole of fucked upness, is that it's not taught in schools and it's not acknowledged, and people learn it from like the Tulsa thing. Like people learn it from a Marvel show.
Yeah, I
Like they
mean,
learn it from a Marvel comics show. And they're like, "Oh, I never knew that happened." And it's like,
I think most of us didn't know that happened.
"Yep, well, they don't teach it."
They don't teach it, and it's intentionally glossed over, right? But then, I mean, Biden came out, I think now with there being so many progressives in the Democratic Party, Biden felt the pressure to acknowledge that it happened, right?
Well,
But that
it's the
doesn't
one thing.
mean anything in that, like, all right, so you acknowledge it, but what does the government do to rectify what happened? Like, and
Yeah,
how
I
to
mean,
like
it's like,
engage with
what
the
are you gonna do
descendants
about
of
it?
these
What are
people.
you gonna do about it, old guy? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate Biden's ability to sort of evolve, and like I think he's trying, but I mean, the guy's a million years old.
He's an old fart. He's conservative at heart. He is. It's
He,
just that
I mean,
like he's playing
his history is
politics.
great, but no, I think he's learned some things, and I think
He
he's got,
has.
like, I do think actually morally as a person that he is trying, but you know, I mean, like there's trying and then there's getting shit done.
Not when it comes to Palestine, he's not. But
Yeah,
you know,
well, like there's only so much
those people are just not human.
you can't expect shit from an American president when it comes to Palestine.
Right, because those people are just aren't human. But I want to like also bring up something else when it
But
comes to African Americans.
yeah, well, I mean, I
Uh,
think like you were referencing Emmett Till, I think.
yeah, yeah. But Emmett Till, that incident, was its own separate like incident. But apparently,
I mean, there are
it's
lots
like a
of things that
pattern.
are like that. Yeah, I mean,
Right, it's a pattern, and you see how like white supremacists will have used that
like, okay,
against like a town to like wipe out everyone, right? Because
okay,
and
but
this is
now,
another story I'm gonna bring up. But go
okay.
ahead. I'll say what you want to say, and then I'll bring up the story.
Well, I'm just gonna say, if we're talking about Emmett Till, the Emmett Till story, this is where I get into my aggression towards white women.
Mhm.
Because the
Always a fun
woman,
topic.
well, because
Always a
the
fun
point
topic.
was like Emmett Till was like 14, 13, 14, something like that. And he was accused of whistling at a white woman,
Mhm.
and she testified against him in court. You know, and I mean, he was lynched and bludgeoned to death. And then during the trial, she was like, "Well, he whistled at me."
Mhm.
And on her deathbed, she admitted that she lied about it.
Yeah.
She admitted that she was like that, and it took her to be on her deathbed to actually come out and say, like, "Yeah, he wasn't really harassing me." Like, "Oh yeah, scary black 14-year-old, so
That's
scary."
how fucked up and how deep this shit goes in terms of like
Yeah.
the white supremacy in this culture,
I
in
mean,
this
the guy,
society.
the boy got beaten to death to like, I mean, if you look, and his mother decided to have an open casket because it's like, see what you did to my boy.
Yeah.
And it was awful. Like it's like the pictures are terrible.
You
It's
know, you want to hear something like really messed up in terms of like what we're dealing with now in 2021.
yeah.
There is a challenge. So you hear about like these different challenges that pop up on social media,
Mm.
like the ice bucket challenge or this challenge or that
Bullshit,
challenge.
bullshit, bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. But there is a challenge out there that I heard about recently where white women, particularly like white girls in their like teens or 20s,
Mm-hmm.
will show their will show a face of like of fear, like that they're like afraid or that they're sad or they're about to cry or that they're in pain, and just how quickly they can turn that face around and and show
That's the
how
thing.
they can. That's a thing. How can how if you like
How
show
easily
how good
they
your
just
acting
use
skills
their
are.
like white girlness to like
Yeah, yeah.
feel sorry for
That's
me.
a thing. That's a thing that's trending online.
Seriously?
Yes,
I
yes,
missed
that
that
is
one.
it. Yeah, I mean, no, you're not missing out, but like,
No, I'm just saying I didn't that didn't pop up on my radar, but that is fucked
yeah,
up. No,
that was on
it's like
Instagram.
they're self-consciously like they know what they're doing.
Well,
I'm
these are,
sorry.
but I'm
Like
sure yeah, no doubt. But these are, of course, the ones who are like gonna be the ones rejecting. They're the ones who are part of society that are rejecting all this talk of any sort of criticism of the past. So I
yeah.
wanted to bring up another thing that I came across recently. This was just a few days ago. Another thing that I'd never heard about, but apparently there are black towns. There were black towns in
Mhm.
this country that were like Tulsa, the part of Tulsa that was predominantly black owned,
Yeah.
right? That um, I guess the white people of those areas didn't appreciate. They didn't want them there. They didn't want those towns to exist.
They didn't quite like black wealth.
Right, and they would use these incidents of supposed incidents of harassment. Oh, this person, talked to or attacked a white woman. This black person, this black man attacked a white woman. So let's just go in. So what they did to those towns is flood them, and so they would go in. They would attack all these people. The people would flee. The rest of the people who were still alive would flee, and so what the white people would do was come in and then flood those towns and create lakes out of them. So like there are lakes till this day. There's one in Georgia. It's called Lake Lanier, and then there's one in like Alabama. There are a
That used to
bunch of
be
them across the
towns.
country. There used to be towns, and the towns are still there. They're still there underwater.
It's
Like
like
it's just,
Atlantis. It's Black
dude, it's
Atlantis.
like this shit. You can't make this shit up. Like it's like,
Dude, I mean, this
and
shit
it's
is
and, it,
insane.
and it's more of this shit's just coming up, and it's more of it is popping up. Like there's an African American professor who his specialty, his I mean his he's an expert on African American studies. He didn't know
Yeah.
about this, right? He was like, this is the first time I'd
They
heard about
bury
this.
this shit, and then they throw at you Gloria Steinem and shit like that.
Yeah.
I saw Gloria Steinem talk. I saw her in a conversation. She had a conversation with Munel Tahawi um,
Mhm.
about feminism. And I was like, "Fuck you, Gloria Steinem." Like she was fucking Henry
Mhm.
Kissinger.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, she fucked Henry Kissinger. Like fuck Gloria Steinem. Like you take a picture with a black woman with an afro and put your fist in the air. It's like, go fuck yourself, Gloria Steinem.
Yeah.
I am not impressed.